What's going on, everybody? Ronnie DiMaggio here, product specialist at BMW of Morristown. And in today's video, we are doing a walk around and overview with this 2023 BMW 230i xDrive. So the 2 Series got refreshed slightly interior-wise for 2023, but this generation 2 Series, the G42 Coupe, has been out since 2022, and it currently comes in 3 different trims, just like most BMWs in the lineup. You have the entry-level 230, which is the car we have here and what we're going to talk about today. You have the M240, which we have already done a video with. We'll link to that here. And we have the M2, which should start hitting showrooms sometime this spring. We've also done a quick walk-around video with an M2 over at BMW of North America, so we'll link to both of those other videos in these little pop-out cards. But today we're focusing on the 230i, the volume model, the entry-level model that most 2 Series shoppers will probably be interested in. So in this video, like in all our videos, we will do a full walk around, talk about the exterior styling, we'll talk about what's under the hood, and we'll hop in the interior and talk about what's going on in there as well. We also get a lot of comments on our videos asking for pricing. We break down the window sticker of every single car that we shoot in the description of the video. So if you want to know what options this car has, how much it costs, all of that stuff is in the description of the video. So go check the description for some of that information. But let's go ahead and start out under the hood. All right, so under the hood of the 230i, this is a 230i xDrive. You can get a 230 rear-wheel drive if you'd like, but doesn't affect the engine. This is the B48, BMW's 2-liter turbocharged inline-6. In this application, it makes 255 horsepower, 295 pound-feet of torque with xDrive. That's good for 0 to 60 in 5.3 seconds. So plenty of power. It's not the M240, it's not the M2, it's not a powerhouse with the inline-6. However, these cars are relatively light, about 3,600 pounds, relatively light by modern standards at least. So they feel plenty potent, plenty of power, plenty of pickup. They definitely don't feel sluggish at all, even the 4-cylinder versions of the 2 Series. Now, I mentioned the M240, the M2, so the M240 has 382 horsepower, the M2 has 450 horsepower, so they are much, much faster in straight lines than the 230. However, the 230 weighs about 200 pounds less than the M240. That's not nearly enough to make up for the power delta. Obviously, the M240 does 0 to 60 in 4.1, the xDrive model at least. Not quite sure about the M2 quite yet, but the M240 is quicker in a straight line, but around turns, that 200 and about 30-pound difference definitely is something that you'll feel if you're a more discerning driver. You will definitely feel that the M240 might feel a little bit heavier, the 230 might feel a little bit lighter on its feet, a little bit quicker to turn in with less weight up front. So for the performance-oriented buyer, a lot of times the easy decision is to go with the bigger engine, more horsepower. However, if you're not, a straight line power type of person, that's not your biggest concern, you're more interested in how the car feels, maybe nimbleness, being light on its feet, then the 230 might have an edge on the M240 there. But anyway, both cars handle great. The M240 has a really nice handling feel as well. All 2 Series coupes feel really nice and nimble to drive. And if you're not a super discerning driver, somebody that really gets into the performance of their cars, you probably won't notice a difference. But for people that are tossing their cars around quite a bit on some back roads, you might notice that the 230 handles a little bit better than you might expect compared to the M240. Anyway, paired to an 8-speed automatic transmission exclusively, no manual in the 2 Series lineup except for the M2. Thankfully, you can still get 3 pedals in that car. But that'll do it for the power and the drivetrain. Let's start talking a little bit about styling. All right, so up front in the 230, obviously this car is equipped with M Sport. I've noticed that most of the 2 Series coupes we get in are equipped with M Sport. I think that makes sense for 2 Series buyers. You're buying a smaller car, sportier car, you want the M Sport package. So what M Sport gets you is a more aggressive bumper. You can see down on the left and right sides, you have these bigger air intakes as well as a larger intake down in the bottom center portion. M Sport also gets you a revised steering wheel, the exterior aesthetics, the kick plates on the interior by the door entry area. So nice benefits of the M Sport package, but it is mostly aesthetic, and the front and rear bumpers are where you see that the most. As far as headlights go, the 2 Series cannot be had with laser lights, at least not yet. Probably don't expect that to come anytime soon, but it does have standard BMW LED headlights, which look really nice, have a really nice daytime running light that kind of goes along the underside of the headlight, as you can see there, which looks really nice. So overall, really nice looking front end. I know that the 2 Series has evolved quite a bit from the F22 2 Series that we had seen in the past, the F-Chassis 2 Series, the F87 M2, which was a very beloved car from its looks. I think the G42 definitely goes in a different direction, but a good direction. I think it looks really nice. The M2 looks killer, in my opinion. I know that's a little bit controversial. Some people don't think so, but I do think the 2 Series is a really nice looking car, especially in the front end. It's a very BMW look, and it looks sporty to match its driving characteristics as well. So that's the front end. Let's take a look at the side of the car. All right, so on the side of the 2 Series, I say in a lot of our videos that I think side profiles are what BMW does best. I think that continues with the 2 Series. It's a super traditional BMW side profile, really reminiscent of cars like the E46, sort of that shape with the 2 doors. You have a really prominent Hofmeister kink out back, a nice rear-wheel drive proportioned car with a relatively large gap between this front door line and the center line of the front wheels. So good looking side profile. Let's talk about the wheels. These are a 225/40/19 tire, obviously 19-inch wheel. This is an optional wheel design. It's a bicolor wheel, black on the inside, silver on the inside of the spokes. Looks super nice with the red calipers. And I realized I forgot to mention this paint. This is, of course, Thundernight Metallic. The launch color, the press color for the 2 Series Coupe looks awesome. Really, really cool color. Purple is not super common in the BMW standard color palette. It is in individual colors like Daytona Violet, Velvet Orchid, Techno Violet. Colors like that are popular in the individual program, but as a standard color, I believe Thundernight is the only true purple that we have, and it looks super cool. Let's take a walk to this portion of the car, where an interesting tidbit for the 2 Series is it has flush door handles. So almost, I believe all BMWs besides the 2 Series and the 4 Series have the overhand door handles where you can like loop your hand in the top portion. 2 Series is a little bit different. It's an underhand door handle like on the old school cars. Older BMWs had that. Interesting to see, nice little detail. The super prominent Hofmeister kink, one of my favorite BMW design elements, is really, really prominent on the 2 Series Coupe, which looks awesome. Rear wheels are square with the front, so 225/40/19 again. And then coming along to the back, you have a relatively short deck lid, but just really nice proportions, a nice long hood, good rear wheel drive proportions, a Hofmeister kink, and a good short deck lid. So it's a very BMW looking side profile, as you guys can see. Looks really nice. But that's the side. Let's come around to the back of the car. All right, so around back of the 230, this is where the differences between standard and M Sport are, again, super apparent. Mostly in the lower portion of the bumper, you have a more aggressive gloss black diffuser that you would not get on a non-M Sport car. So you can see these little slats in the diffuser, which look really nice, add a little bit of aggression to the rear of the 2 Series. Taillights are the same M Sport to non-M Sport. They're an interesting design, but they look pretty nice from the straight-on back angle that you guys are seeing now. They're definitely different, not super traditional like the side profile. They're a little bit different for BMW, but I still think they look good. You have your gloss black spoiler. That's part of the Shadowline or M Sport Professional that you can get on the 2 Series Coupe. So that gives you the gloss black spoiler, black window trim, black grills, black elements on the exterior of the car as far as styling goes. Helps make it look a little bit sleeker. Instead of chrome and silver, you get some black elements like the spoiler. Otherwise, not too much to talk about back here. You have your standard xDrive and 230 badges in chrome, your BMW roundel, and the rest is pretty standard fare for the 2 Series Coupe. One thing to note, the 230, one way to tell apart 230 M240, because they do look pretty similar on the outside. Obviously you have the badges, but you have 2 round exhaust tips on the 230, whereas the M240 gets those trapezoidal exhaust tips. So that is the rear end of the 230. Let's go ahead and pop the trunk. We'll also hop in the back seat to talk a little bit about practicality. All right, so around back of the 230, let's go ahead and pop the trunk. A trunk space in the back, surprisingly ample for a 2-door coupe, relatively small car. still plenty of space back here, as you guys can see in the cutaway footage. Plenty of room for, if you want, this is a 4-seater, so 4 people's luggage for a weekend trip, no problem. 2 or 3 golf bags, again, no problem. Plenty of space in the back of the 230. So practicality-wise, actually pretty strong for, like I said, a small 2-door, 4-seater sports car type of car. Not a sedan, not an SUV or anything, obviously. Pretty practical in the back, so impressively good trunk space. Let's go around to the rear seat and check out the space back there as well. All right, so as far as back seat space in the 2 Series, obviously 2-door, 4-seat, no back door to access the rear seat. So what you do is pull on this little latch on the back of the front seat, push this forward, and it will whir itself forward. This is my driving position in the front. That's where I would sit at about 5'9". And as I hop in the back here, there is a little hump to contend with as you get in, so watch your head, don't bump your head. But you guys aren't going to see me very well, but just for demonstration purposes, I'll go ahead and put the seat back. And as you maybe can't see, but as I can describe, I have probably 3 inches of knee room there. If I sit straight up, I have room to just put my fingers above my head. Again, I'm about 5'9", so I fit back here comfortably. I could sit back here for a long time. I have climate control. I have a little storage tray as well as a fold-down armrest. So I fit back here comfortably, but anybody above 5'10", you might have to slouch a little bit or lean to the side. I'd say 6 feet is the max you could get back here. A 6-foot tall person's probably the tallest that could sit back here comfortably for an extended period of time. And even then, they'd probably have to go like this a little bit to the side or forward, but they could make it work. Above 6 feet, you're going to be super tight back here. So for kids, no problem. 5'10" and below, no problem. Anything above that, you might want to consider something like a 3 Series. But again, 2 Series, you're probably not using the back seat super often, but you can use it in a pinch for people above 6 feet, or if you have people that are 5'10" or below riding in the back seat often, no problem. They fit just fine, and access is pretty good. You can see this seat goes very far forward, no problem getting in or out. So that's the back seat in the 230. Let's go ahead and hop up front. All right, so here we are inside of the 23 230i xDrive Coupe. We already did a video on the M240 where we did a little bit more in-depth tour of the interior, so we'll just go over the important stuff here. Big thing is, of course, iDrive 8, this big curved display screen that integrates your instrument cluster or gauge cluster as well as your center control display. All of that stuff is integrated into one big glass panel with iDrive 8. We've talked about iDrive 8 in a ton of different videos, but my overall feelings towards it are positive. I like the way it looks in all of the cars that it is used in. I like the way it works. It's all just kind of a win for me. The one thing that is a little bit takes some getting used to is the climate control being integrated into the screen, as is true of all iDrive 8 cars. But even that you get used to very quickly, and you have voice control to help you out with that as well. So if you don't like using the touchscreen while you're driving, which is a totally fair feeling to have, you can just press this and say, turn on my heated seat to level 2, and the BMW personal assistant will take care of that for you, no problem. So iDrive 8 works great, nice configurable gauge cluster, really high resolution, really dark black, so it feels premium, looks premium. Good infotainment system. Touchscreen, of course, but you still have the iDrive controller if you prefer to control the screen that way. As far as ergonomics go, really, really nice driving position in the 2 Series. The steering wheel is BMW's standard M Sport steering wheel, which looks and feels fantastic. One of the best steering wheels they've ever done. One of the best steering wheels maybe in all cars that has ever been done. I really, really love this steering wheel. Both armrests fall at the same height, which is great for ergonomics. You sit with your chest lined up perfectly with the cross of that BMW roundel, which, as we know, is what you look for in a BMW as far as driving position go. Nice wide pedal box, so no issues as far as foot space or angling your knee or your hip in a weird direction. It's just an overall comfortable place to be and to sit. As far as things that are unique to the 2 Series in terms of styling, one thing that is interesting and unique to the 2 Series Coupe is the sort of 3-dimensional pattern that you see on the back of the front door cards, as well as on the walls, I guess, in the rear seat. Looks pretty interesting. That is unique to the 2 Series. You don't really see that much when you're sitting in the front of the car. Obviously, your eyes are forward. Most of that is behind you, but looks cool and interesting when you're getting in and out of the car. That's when you do see it. Other things that are unique to the 2 Series is this trim, specifically the M colors integrated into the trim. That's an M Sport thing, M240, M2, I'm guessing will have that. But looks pretty cool. That is, like I said, unique to the 2 Series Coupe, and it just integrates those M colors, that red, dark blue, and light blue, into the interior in a little bit more pronounced way, as opposed to just like the M badges down here and things like that. Otherwise, this is true of all BMW models. The screen looks pretty much the same. The center stack area looks mostly the same. Those two pieces are pretty much ubiquitous across the BMW lineup. However, where things do, again, differ model to model is the center console area is shaped differently, but the control panel itself is usually mostly the same from model to model, which is to say it looks nice, looks very BMW, and the 2 Series does get the updated lever switch, shifter I should say, instead of the standard upright physical shifter. You just have the little lever there, which is more modern looking, more streamlined, and a little bit quicker to use. I was at first a little bit hesitant to get comfortable with that, but as I've used it more and more, it has become pretty second nature, and it works really well. That does sacrifice the ability to like slap shift if you want to shift like that with the paddle shifters or the manual mode, but you do still have paddle shifters on the back of the steering wheel for people that like to take control themselves, even in an automatic transmission car. Otherwise, as far as options go, the one that I would recommend you always spec on a 2 Series is the premium package. Gives you the heated steering wheel, comfort access, other kind of basic things that you would want in a BMW, but besides premium package, everything else is totally up to your taste. I always recommend Harman Kardon in every BMW, that's just me. This car doesn't have it, still sounds totally fine anyway, not a must if you're not an audiophile, but I definitely enjoy the Harman Kardon sound system. Otherwise, that is pretty much it for the interior of the 2 Series. I think it's a really nice place to be, very comfortable, more spacious than you might expect for a small 2-door coupe. I have plenty of space up here. I don't feel cramped at all, even with a front passenger. Still have plenty of room. So, nice interior. I think BMW did a good job with the refresh with iDrive 8 and the interior of the 2 Coupe in general. But that's going to do it for the inside. Let's go ahead, hop outside, and we'll wrap up with our final thoughts. Alright, so that's going to do it for this walk around and overview of the 2023 BMW 230i xDrive Coupe in Thundernight Metallic. Hopefully you guys enjoyed checking out the 230 as much as we enjoyed sharing it with you. Overall, I think the 230 is a great option for somebody that wants a daily driver car. It's all-wheel drive, so up here in the Northeast, it is all-weather capable with the right tires, but they want a little sportier sort of element to their car, want something a little smaller, more nimble, more tossable, more fun to drive than a 3 or 5 Series. The 230 fills that gap really nicely in the $40,000 to $50,000 range, depending on how you option it. So really compelling car in the segment that it competes in my opinion. Big fan of the 230. But that's going to do it for this little walk around. If you guys have any questions about the 230 or anything else BMW related, please drop them down in a comment below. If you like the video, please like the video and subscribe to the channel if you think we deserved it. But that's going to do it for this one. Thank you guys for watching. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at BMW of Morristown, and we will see you in the next one.